What if you decided to only make space for the friendships that meet you exactly where you are today and let the others fall away? You make the decision to let go of friendships that used to mean something but no longer align with who you're becoming. And rather than try and force them, you let them go. They naturally fade without drama, without a big falling out, without anyone doing anything terrible. It's just that they've stopped working. And somewhere along the way, you just realized this doesn't bring me joy anymore. And the moment that you admit that to yourself, that's when the guilt starts to flood in. Maybe I'm being too harsh. Maybe I'm expecting too much. Maybe I'm the problem. Now, here's what I see in the work that I do with my clients. A man will describe a friendship, somebody's known for years, maybe even decades. And when I ask, what do you get from this friendship? He pauses because the honest answer is not much. But he's been holding on because letting go somehow feels like failure. Like proof he's not loyal enough, not patient enough, not good enough. Now, before we get into it, if you're new here, welcome to the coaching sessions. I'm David, and this is a space where we have honest conversations about what it takes to stop playing the supporting role in your own life, especially if you're a gay man who spent years being the steady one, the reliable one, the person that everybody leans on. And as a mindset coach, I help gay men go from that second best feeling, somebody's maybe and powerless in their own lives, to standing taller, feeling confident in their actions, their decisions, and relationships without shrinking, editing who they are, or people pleasing to keep everybody else comfortable. And that's where I've come from myself, and this is what I teach my clients to do now. So if that sounds like a journey that you want to be part of, stay close. You can subscribe, tap like, and then you'll hear about new sessions when they land. Now, back to it. Here's why letting go of these friendships feels difficult at first. Most of us were taught that love, whether romantic or friendship, means commitment, loyalty, showing up no matter what. And that's beautiful when it's mutual. But what happens when you are the only one showing up? What happens when the friendship has become a one-way street where you're constantly giving and they are constantly taking? What happens when you realize that every time you spend time with this person, you leave feeling drained and not lifted? Then you might find that you question yourself. Am I being selfish? Am I expecting too much? And that question might keep you feeling like you're stuck, because the alternative, letting go, feels like you're admitting defeat or you're letting them down. But here's what's happening underneath the surface. There's a part of you, let's call it the loyalty part, that believes that holding on is the right thing to do. This part learned early on that being a good friend means staying even when it's hard, and that walking away somehow makes you the bad guy. But there's another part, the integrity part, that knows that this friendship isn't serving you anymore. This part can feel like the drain, the frustration, the resentment that builds every time that you say yes when you mean no. And these two parts, they're at war. The guilt that you feel, that's the battlefield. But here's what I've learned, both from my own life and from working with men who've walked this exact same path. Letting go of a friendship that no longer serves you isn't failure. It's allowing yourself the self-respect to make space. Letting go is about being honest, not being disloyal. Let me say that again. Letting go is about being honest, not about being disloyal. When you hold on to a friendship out of obligation, you might notice that it doesn't feel very good, because it feels more like it's resentful without realizing it. And the resentment poisons everything. The friendship becomes a duty, a box to tick, because you think that you should, not because you want to. So let me ask you a question. Does that feel fair to you? Let me give you an example. You've got a friend, somebody you've known for years. Maybe you grew up together. Maybe you went through something difficult together. And because of that history, you feel obligated to stay. But every time you see them, the conversation is the same. They complain about the same things. They ask for the same advice. They never take it. Or maybe they're not asking for advice at all. Maybe they just want an audience or they only show up when they need something. Someone to validate their choices without ever questioning them or really paying attention to what you have to say beyond satisfying the need for the validation, and you leave absolutely exhausted because you're the only one doing the emotional labor. You're the one checking in, the one making plans, the one holding space. And when you need support, they're not there. Or worse, they are there, but they make it all about them. And that's not a friendship. That's a one-way transaction. Let me ask you, if you're constantly giving from a place of depletion, not abundance, how does that make you feel? Here's what changes when you take action. When you realize that letting go is about making space, not about being disloyal, the guilt starts to lose its grip because you're not abandoning them. You're choosing yourself, my friend. It might feel selfish, but in fact, it's an act of non negotiable self worth. The people who can meet you, the ones showing up, the ones who reciprocate, the ones who lift you up instead of draining you, can't come into your life if there's no space for them. You may feel guilt, and you may have learned this narrative to try and make sense of your environment. Maybe you grew up in a family where loyalty was the highest value, even when it was toxic. Maybe you were taught that walking away somehow makes you the bad guy. Maybe you internalized the idea that if you're not constantly giving, you're not a good person. But just because you learned it doesn't mean that you're stuck with it. So what do you do when you realize that a friendship no longer serves you? We use clear internal regulation techniques to make this shift feel safe. Let me give you 3 specific techniques to settle the guilt and choose your peace. Technique 1 is to honor the positive intention. The part of you that's been holding on has a positive intention. It's trying to keep you safe. So before you let that part go, honor it. Say to yourself, thank you for keeping me safe, but holding on is no longer protecting me. It's draining me. And this acknowledgement helps the loyalty part relax because it knows its intention was good, even if the behavior was no longer serving you. The next technique is to reframe the outcome. So instead of thinking I'm ending a friendship, reframe it as I'm making space for the people who can meet me where I deserve to be met from this point onward. And this shifts the focus from loss to possibility. It helps you uncover that you're creating room for something better. The next one is to future pace the change. So pause with me for a second, and if you feel safe to do so, close your eyes and imagine yourself 6 months from now. You've let go of the draining friendship, your calendar has space, you have space, your energy has space. And now picture yourself surrounded by people who reciprocate, who show up, who lift you up. What does that feel like? Where do you feel it in your body? And that feeling, that's what you're making space for. Now look back from that point to today. Look at the steps, the action, the momentum that you used to get to this future point. How did you get there? What did you do? What action did you take? How did you let go of that friendship or relationship? And pay attention to those cues, as those might be the very steps that you need to take from today. And I also invite you to imagine what it feels like 6 months from now when you can look at your friendships and know without question that every person in your life is there because you chose them, not because you felt obligated to be there. Where you can say no to plans that don't light you up without the guilt, without the spiral. When you can look at the people around you and feel lifted, not drained. And when you can access that grounded, clear state when you stand taller because you stopped abandoning yourself to keep others comfortable. You realize that this is what genuine, calm confidence feels like. And it's the calm certainty of self-respect. And this freedom, my friend, well, that's what's waiting for you on the other side of this work. Now, letting go is about being honest, not about being disloyal. That's the line that I want to and invite you to carry with you this week. Write it down, say it out loud, let it sink in. and just really take your time with it. Now, letting go of friendships that no longer serve you is simple in theory. It's easy for somebody else to say, but doing it, especially when you've been taught that walking away makes you the bad guy, isn't always easy. If you want to be in a room with other men who are doing this exact work, men who are learning to honor themselves, set boundaries, and make space for the people who can meet them, the door to my coaching container, the Freedom Community, is open now. And this space is built on empathy and structure, making your journey of trial and error celebrated, not judged. This is the work that I help my clients do. I guide them to practice letting go without guilt, to build confidence to choose themselves, and create space for the relationships that lift them up, not in theory, but in practice and with support. And if you're ready to start, the link to join for free is in the description below. Until next time, remember, the people who can meet you are waiting, but first, you have to make space for them. Take care, my friend, and be well.